When someone doesn't invest, it's not that they don't like my product, it's that they don't like me,
Yeah.
it feels like. And what I've learned is to detach from that. In today's video, I talk with Daria, who is starting up her own business and wanted to interview me about how I started my business and where this all came about. So back in 2020, I started out as a lifestyle influencer, and then I decided that I had a deeper passion, I had a deeper why, and I just started honing in on that. And I got super clear on my purpose, and I just took it from there. I talk all about taking messy action and getting started to get ahead and all that good stuff. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And now let's get into the video.
What inspired you? How'd you get started? What was your why necessarily? What just kind of made you start this whole journey?
When I first got started with social media was purely out of passion. It was during the pandemic, and I realized that I just wanted to do something with my free time. So I was like, let me try this whole like influencer thing out. And to be honest, at first it didn't really pick up much steam. It was just friends and family. To be totally transparent, I had about 5,000 followers, and those followers were like friends, family, like people I knew from my hometown. So it did feel very weird to begin with, because like the people that I was talking to, for example, was people that I knew personally. So obviously I had a little bit of that imposter syndrome and that fear, but I kind of just was like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I'm in my house, I'm bored.
Were you working a 9 to 5, and what were you doing at the time? And how were you balancing both?
Yeah, so at the time I was working my job on Wall Street. I was going in at first, but then, like I said, once the pandemic hit, it was solely work from home. And when I was working remotely, it was 9 to 5, and I got to cut out an hour and a half commute time both ways. So I was commuting like 3 hours a day, and it was a lot. And I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't go on like this. And I remember when I first like started, I was like waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go work out, and then I would go do my hour and a half commute, go work 9 to 5, come home and literally like crash. I like just barely made it to like eat dinner, and I just don't even know how long I would have been able to go on like that. So I'm like almost grateful that COVID hit when it did.
I still assume that you have some mentors that you look to, and how did you kind of build your network and look to those mentors, and what was your number one step?
In the beginning, it was more so about being an influencer, getting followers, and like getting likes and comments on my videos and pictures, and like building a community. And now, more so, like looking today, I'm so care more about longevity. I know this is a little bit of a tangent of your conversation, but like when you first start out and you kind of get this like internet fame, you get followers, you get subscribers, you get whatever. It's like all you can think about is growing more, more, more. And now that I'm a little bit more seasoned and I understand that those are just vanity metrics, at the end of the day, they don't mean shit. Like, I'm so grateful for my followers and I love them so much. But like, if you just focus on numbers, that's just not a life, nor a life that I want to live. So what I've realized over time is like, okay, now I have this massive influence, because I think about it in terms of a stadium. Like, look up any amount of followers you have and look at that many people in a stadium. Like, I have 37,000 followers on Instagram, 82,000 on TikTok. Like, combine over 100,000 people. Like, if I stood up in front of 100,000 people, holy shit, that is a lot of people. So I'm so grateful, but it's like, what do I do from here? Because it's so much more than followers. So when I first started out and it was solely social media and it was solely like lifestyle influencer, I followed a lot of influencer coaches. But then my passions really lied in like mindset and manifestation and positivity and healthy and intentional living. So I was like, well, how can I do both? So then I kind of answered my own question of how can I serve these people in a way that's more than just fashion and beauty and travel, because all that stuff's great. And of course, it's a part of my brand. I love skincare. Just like on a more personal note, I love to travel. Like, I love to do those things, but it's just not super fulfilling for me to talk about that all the time. And some people, like, it works amazing and that's awesome for them. It's just not my style. I just feel like I have so much more to bring to the table. So what I've learned over time through mentors and influencers and coaches is that, like, you can do it all. You got to just do it your way.
That's overwhelming a lot at first. Did it feel that way?
Starting out, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, where am I going? I was working on Wall Street and influencing about manifestation. Like, talk about polar opposite. My biggest fear was like one of my bosses coming across one of my TikTok videos, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to explain this in a 9 a.m. meeting?
How did you hold yourself accountable? You sound like you have a very good routine to begin with. So how did you stick with it and then just add more? I understand the discipline and motivation. The motivation will fail. It's the discipline that matters. How do you keep your discipline?
I am incredibly disciplined. And this is something that I didn't realize about myself until recently, because a lot of times I would just do things that came naturally to me, and I learned that it doesn't come naturally to other people. And that's when I realized that I need to capitalize on this. And that's kind of when my mindset and manifestation teachings came about, because I was like, things that are easy for me may not be easy for other people, and that's how I can bridge a gap, and that's how I can help people. So how do I stay disciplined? Routines, definitely. So a morning routine has literally changed my life. Come hell or high water, I make my bed every single morning. And if you want to know why, read the book Make Your Bed. It's like a
I already
70.
read it. It's on my shelf. Yep, I read his other one too. I recommend his other book if you haven't read it yet.
No, I haven't. I have to check it out. I make my bed every morning, and then I do three things. I take care of my spiritual, my mental, and my physical health. And if I'm totally transparent, do I work out every single morning? No. But the goal is to check off these three boxes. And no matter what, there are two non-negotiables for me. So one is make my bed, and two is 3 sentences of gratitude. And by having that core foundation has opened up so many doors for me. And we think it's so small, but it's about that consistency, because if you can complete the first task of the day, you can complete anything.
Oh, absolutely. That completely resonates with me, and also the gratitude. People forget to be grateful for what they have, and it just makes the rest of the day so much easier when you're already starting the note on a positive one. How were you also fitting in the social life? Or was that non-existent? Or is that supposed to be non-existent at the beginning?
Yeah, so like I think my like biggest closet secret is that like at heart I'm such an introvert. And people would
Okay.
never
I
expect
never
that.
would have guessed.
Yeah, people would never expect that, because I'm loud, I'm bubbly, like I'm energetic, and I like love what I do and I bring so much passion to it. But when it comes to like going out and like partying and that kind of stuff, it's just like
Yeah.
honestly not my jam. Like I do go out, I had so much fun. Like probably the last time I went like a really fun night out was my birthday. We like went clubbing till like 4 or 5 a.m. Like don't get me wrong, like I love that stuff. I used to do that stuff
Yeah.
all throughout college. Like, but to be honest, like it just doesn't fulfill me. So I've kind of found my new way of socializing. And like for me, it's long talks and like deep conversations, or hanging out with friends that actually add to my life. And as I've evolved new friendships as well. And to be honest, like I don't see my friends all the time. I do spend most of my time, I would say, like with my boyfriend, because I know I don't share about him a lot, but we do have very similar interests as well as our relationship. Like we are both entrepreneurs. We have so much to relate to, and we spend so much time together. So like I would say my free time's with him, but starting out more so, it was during the pandemic, so my introvert side of me got to kind of like explode in happiness and joy. And
You loved
I could
it.
just focus on me, and I didn't feel that pressure of like going out, because at that time I had like severe FOMO all the time, and I was like, I don't want to go out, but then I don't want to stay home because then I feel bad and I feel like I'm missing out. I kind of got away with that one, not gonna lie. Honestly, like at the time that I was starting, I just had worked so hard on my friendships, and I had let go of a lot of friendships, and it was really, really challenging. But the friends that I had when I started out were so, so supportive, have very different interests than like what I do, to be honest, but are so, so supportive for so many reasons. So like I would talk on the phone with them, or like we would FaceTime and things like that. And like having that strong support group, I think definitely helped push me and like excel me in the right direction.
Are a lot of your friends also entrepreneurs? Are they your age? Like, do you have others that are like really close friends that are similar to you in that sense as well?
I have friends of like all walks of life, honestly. Like I have the most diverse group of friends and I'm so grateful for it. And like I'm the kind of person that like I honestly like I have so many friends and like a lot of my friends are on the internet. So by growing my brand on social media and doing all these things and networking, like I've met so many people. Like last week I did a Zoom tea chat with my YouTuber friend and she was teaching about YouTube. I was teaching her about Instagram Reels. So it's like I have those kind of friends. Then I have like my core friends that I will be friends with for life. I have been friends with for life that I grew up with, and they're not entrepreneurs. So they're very different walks of life, but like I said, like so, so supportive of me. And that has been an awesome, awesome just like foundation for me, and I'm so, so grateful for them. And then I do have my friends that are content creators, entrepreneurs, so really just like a little bit of everything.
How did you identify and then how did you go after your target market?
I learned this one the hard way. So at first I tried to reach everyone, and that was the biggest pitfall that I probably could have taken and the hardest hit. So, like I said, going back to what I said about vanity metrics, like numbers, like followers, super, super grateful, but I learned so fucking fast that followers does not equal sales. So, if you have a massive following, try to sell something and you'll see really what that number means. And when it comes to turning influence into a business, it's a very slippery slope because it's like, how do I come off as right posting all this free content and now I'm trying to sell something? So it's like you have to do it in a way that's authentic, and the best way you can do that is by being yourself. And what I feel like I learned is, like I said, you can't reach everyone. So I was trying to reach everyone. And then when I was, when I remember I first launched my course around June of last year. So or June or July of last year. So it's not even a year old yet. But when I first launched it, I had maybe about like 3 or 4 sales. And I was like, fuck, like I have maybe like 20,000 followers at the time. What's going on? And I realized it's because my audience was so big. And that's the thing with like TikTok and Reels now, is like you're just reaching so many people, which is so good to get your content and eyeballs on your content. But when it comes to having a niche down offer, you're not going to be able to really find the people without niching down and without targeting a direct group of people. And then I realized like, okay, something's like not working. So I invested in a business coach. And now, like after that business coach, I got up to like 100 sales on my course. So it goes to show that typically, if you know your stuff, like there's nothing wrong with your product. It's probably just your marketing. And that's what I learned the hard way. Like I said, I made 3 or 4 sales up to like 100 sales. And I was like in both times I had a course launch. The first time I was in Italy, the second time I was in Mexico, and it was true like passive income. And it was just like amazing to see like, okay, these are the people I want to target. And now as I create my new offers and I have my new program, that's really like my signature program, it's so niche down and so specific, but it feels more authentic because it's more me and it's more reaching the exact people that I can help rather than helping a little bit to everyone. I'm like really 100% helping these people that it's meant for.
What did you go to school for?
I actually studied finance with a minor in information technology. Yes, I did used to work on Wall Street. So for those of you that don't know, I literally had a background in finance. That's what I studied in college, and a minor in IT. So how did I get here?
When it came down to marketing your material then, how did you decide to market it? Did you kind of try different things? How was that experience.
So I always say messy action. Like take messy action because you're just never going to be ready and the numbers don't lie. It's very easy, especially for a new entrepreneur, to make everything emotional, especially females. Like you just make everything emotional. And I was talking about this with my therapist actually this morning, and I was like, something that's really challenging for me, or like at least when I was starting out, was that like my business is me. So when someone doesn't invest, it's not that they don't like my product, is that they don't like me,
Yeah.
it feels like. And what I've learned is to detach from that and to remember that I can't help everyone. I can't serve everyone. I can only serve a specific group of people. They don't buy. It's not a reflection on me. It's where they're at in their journey. And in the beginning I took everything so personally and it beat me up. Like I was starting to feel like depressed, like when I wasn't making sales, and I was like, I'm losing the fun of it. Like I'm losing the impact, I'm losing the influence, which is like where this all started. And I really had to realign and honestly just have like patience and grace for myself, because being a new entrepreneur is tough. And like if you can get through it, you can get through anything. Like how people say, if you can make it in New York City, you can make it anywhere. If you can make it through the toddler phase of your business, you can make it anywhere.
Making that initial connection. So when you started posting everything, how was that working out? How were you creating different stuff and trying to get everything out there?
So as a creative, another thing that I've learned through trial and error is you can't plan. Like you literally can't
Okay.
plan anything. If you are like a naturally content creator, like creative as I am, like I can't plan stuff. Like I don't even know what I'm posting tomorrow, to be honest with you. Like
Okay.
the only time I ever plan stuff is like if I have a launch coming up, like then I would make like, or I have a graphic designer, so like I would have her design some stuff, and then like graphics for a launch or like an email sequence, like that kind of stuff I plan. But in regards to like my posting, I don't plan, because when I try to, it gets all weird. Like that's literally just the way to put it. Like it just gets
Yeah.
weird. It gets not me. Like there are times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like batch a bunch of reels and content and I'll record them, but I won't put the ideas to them right away. I'll wait for the ideas to come to me more naturally. And yeah, like, I don't know, I've just never really struggled with that until I tried to do something different. And I realized my process is very unique. But I do have some structure in the sense of like I do a newsletter every Monday, so I write that newsletter every Friday before. So like that structure, I do a YouTube video every Wednesday, and that's something we can talk more about, but like I'm really trying to pivot more to YouTube because it's more of an
Okay.
engaged audience, and TikTok and Instagram is great, but it's not super like creator friendly as well. My purpose moving forward is to really impact, to do like public speaking and to really go on like a grander scale. And I don't think Instagram and TikTok offers that because it's so based on like instant gratification. Whereas like I want to be more on YouTube to really have more of an effect on people and to really be able to verbalize into long form content.
Perfect. You answered my next question, which was going to be how you maintain that connection. How did you get into, so you were kind of an information technology kind of major, so you kind of might have had some background in it. How did you learn all the apps? How did you learn to make effective content to put out there when you did have those creative flows? How was that entire process?
Okay, so college had nothing to do with this. I learned zip in college from anything that I'm doing. Maybe my finance
Okay.
background has helped a little bit, but like college did not teach me any of this. That IT minor was like
Okay.
coding, like nothing to do with
Okay.
this. Um,
Okay.
but to answer your question, Google, literally Google and YouTube.
Okay.
Like I just YouTubed everything. Like I now know how to build a funnel. I know how to do email sequences. I have a Facebook ads team. I work with them. Like it's the kind of thing that you gotta just go with whatever's thrown at you. And like if you don't know, there's an answer. You can Google everything. You
Yeah.
can YouTube
Okay.
everything. Like there is an answer to
Yeah.
everything. And in regards to content and social media, just following like a bunch of coaches, but the big thing about content and social media is like you have to make it your own. And this is something that I'm guilty of and like we're all guilty of, is like when you're so influenced by other people, like coaches, like this is the algorithm, this is the this, like Is the algorithm stuff important? Should you have a background knowledge? Yes. But you can't be basing all of your content on an algorithm, because then you don't really have a brand. Like, what do you stand for and what do you bring to the table? And what is the energy you're going to show up with? And that's how you're going to win. That's how you're going to succeed, when you be you and you do a little bit of these tips and tricks, right? Like 7-second video, this and that. I didn't turn off my email. But when you hear a bell like that, it's affirming that what you're saying is right. So back to what I was saying is, like, you just have to be you, and you can figure everything out. And like, you have to do trial and error. So like, what works for me may not work for another creator in my niche.
Do you use a lot of like phone apps to make anything? Like, when is it all Reels or TikToks? And then when it comes to like editing videos, do you have apps on your laptop that like you get into? And again, is that just all Google that you kind of figured out that way?
Yeah, I keep it so simple. Like, I edit all my videos in TikTok, and then I save them and I
Okay.
put them on Instagram Reels. And then for YouTube, I record on my camera. Sometimes I use this mic. This is the mic I use to record my course, so I was like, I have it anyways. And I edit in iMovie. Like, I keep it really simple.
How did you learn to be so concise? And like, I understand that it's trial and error, but when it comes to figuring out what type of content to put into one specific post, you know how like there's word vomit, which is what I do all the time. So how do you figure out what's enough content for one post, if that makes sense,
A post on where?
without giving too much? Any type of post.
So Instagram and TikTok's a completely different game than YouTube. YouTube, I'll script out some videos, but like bullet points. So I'll say, this is what I'm going to say in the intro, 3 bullet points, and an outro, like something I'm going to say like goodbye. I keep it like that, and I'll say, okay, this video on how to manifest money, these are the 3 points I'm going to touch on. And something that's really been a learning curve for me is going from short form to long form, because I learned how to teach everything in 15 seconds. Now, how the hell am I going to make a video on 25 minutes without word vomiting? It's all trial and error. The good thing about YouTube is you can edit the shit out of everything. Like, you can edit every single breath if you want to. You can make it more engaging. And that's something I want to put more energy towards, actually taking the time to edit my videos and to really, like, I'm the kind of person, and the people always say, like, make videos that you like to watch. So, like, I'm the kind of person, I'm in and I'm out. Like, I don't want fluff. I just want the details, because I'm busy and I have shit to do. Like, I'm not the kind of person that just sits and watches videos for hours and hours. Like, I'm in and I'm out. So those are the kind of videos I want to create for people, like fast-paced, informational, energetic, positive, uplifting. Now, for Instagram and TikTok, it's like, let me word vomit everything I can in a concise way in 15 seconds. And you have to just do it. Like, there's no formula. You gotta just do it, see what works, take it a couple times and say, okay, this is better than the last one. Let me try it out.
Since you're posting on like there's just so many places to post, and you're obviously creating so much content and you're putting so much into your courses, how do you deal with creativity blocks?
Yeah, so I actually faced like serious creator burnout in January, just last month, and I felt like I was dying. Like, I was just like, what the hell am I gonna do? How am I gonna last 5 more years like this, 10 years, 20 years? Like, I couldn't even see like a few months ahead of me, because I was like, I am so burnt out. And what you have to do is you've got to take a step back to move 10 steps forward. So what I literally did was I learned that pushing and pushing and pushing is not going to get me anywhere. And I learned that the hard way, because I was pushing and trying to make more content, and it was just not good, or not good to my standards. I have very high standards for myself. And what I did was I was like, I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to take a break. And I sat in bed and watched Emily in Paris all day. I turned off my email. I turned off social media. I just binge watched a funny, lighthearted show. And the next day, I came back with so much creativity. I enrolled a new member in my course. I just had such awesome energy, and I was like magnetic. And it's like, when you're not aligned to what you're doing and you're forcing something, it's just not going to work out. And it's like, yeah, it will to some extent, but it's like, why not work more intentionally in a way that's going to actually move your business forward? And when you get those creativity blocks, there is nothing you can do besides take a break. And I wish I knew that sooner. And especially in the times when you're like, I literally can't take a break. Like, I need to do this. And it's like, I have a launch coming up. I have this coming up. I need to do these things. That's when you say, okay, what are the things that absolutely need to be done right now? And anything that doesn't, you put it aside and you figure it out later.
Resonates, and that helps me because I feel like I'm experiencing burnout in my job now, but like I can't experience that just yet. And so, the days just turning off the phone and backing off is what's needed. How do you organize yourself when it comes down to doing all the different things? So the content, enrolling people, dealing with all of your customers, clients, vendors, all the people that you work with. How did you organize yourself at the beginning, and then how has that changed and evolved to now?
Yeah, so it's definitely hard in the beginning. Like, I'm not gonna like fluff it up. I am the tech person, I am the graphic designer some days, I am the influencer, I am the coach, I am the video editor, I am the everything. And you have to outsource when you can and when it feels right. So at a time when I was like, I want to grow my YouTube channel, I had hired a video editor, I hired like a website designer. Now I'm fortunate enough that I can hire an ads management team. I'm running ads for the first time. You have to really play your cards right in the sense of like, okay, where can I use help? But you also have to understand, which is what I learned, is that when you hire help, you can't just expect that they're going to fix everything. You have to give some guidance, and you also have to remember that like you still have to support them. You still have to tell them what you want, and you still have to like guide them in this direction. And you can't just like hand off everything like that. It takes time. So
Yeah.
how I
You're the everyone person. You do everything
at first, yeah, but it's like when it comes time. So like now, for example, like I have a graphic designer, like I said, so we have a really good flow going. But when it first started out, I remembered like and especially being creative, it's harder. So like I remember when we first started out, I hired her to make something for me, and like she sent me the first copy of the first thing we'd ever done together, and I was so like frustrated. I was like, that is not at all like what I wanted, and I didn't want to take it out on her. And I was like, what did I do wrong? Like, how can I fix me? How can I fix the input of this situation? And then I realized like I wasn't super clear with what I wanted. I just was assuming she would know things that she wouldn't have known. And it really takes patience. And now that we've been working together a few months, like she knows my style, she knows my groove. So really just, like I said, like patience and grace, and just understanding that this stuff is going to like take time. And then in regards to me, how do I stay structured? I have my Google Calendar is like my life. The things that are a priority, I put in. Because I do like enroll people based on calls. So my newest course, you can't just sign up, you have to apply. It's by application only. Because it is like way more intimate, and it's really not for everyone, going back to what I said. And for that reason, it's very like, okay, I have to be on the calls, I have to go through the applications to do all this stuff. So it's like, okay, I do the calls like certain days of the week, I block out time in my calendar, and then in the morning I write every day like top 3 to-dos, and it goes back to like what are the essential things that need to be done today, and whatever doesn't, I could try to do it today, and if not, it's going to carry over to tomorrow.
What are the biggest and foreseeable problems and challenges when starting out? What is like hardest part?
Yeah, so I think everybody's answer to this will be different. But for me
Okay.
personally, like in my journey, I would say the hardest part is slash was imposter syndrome, and being like, well, I'm too young, I'm too inexperienced, I don't know everything. And it's like, no shit, nobody knows everything. And the hardest part is just moving forward and detaching your emotions from it. Because at the end of the day, right, it's like this is your business, and whatever is going on in your personal life will reflect in your business, and vice versa. So if you're not like, if you're showing up in a certain way, it's probably because you're showing up in a certain way elsewhere. And building a business was the biggest life lesson that I could have ever learned, and I'm still learning, because it's brought up a lot of things in me that I've definitely suppressed And honestly, like a lot with my money mindset. Like building a business as a baby and earning money and making money. It's like so much has come up for me in my money mindset, and I've worked so hard to rewire my mindset, but there's always more. And like my parents are immigrants. Like they came here from Italy, and it's like that screams scarcity. Like immigrants have serious like scarce limited mindset. My grandma, I was just thinking of this today, like literally won't eat the last thing on the table because she's in fear that there won't be more food. Having these like deep beliefs that I grew up with almost, and it's not to blame anybody. It's just that's the way they were taught. And it's like if you're not going to break the cycle, it's going to just keep going on. So like doing the work to break the cycle of, okay, this is what's really keeping me stuck, and that's why it's showing up in my business like this. I would say that's the hardest part, and it's definitely possible. But like, you know, when things aren't going right in my business, it's definitely like, okay, I've seen this happen in my life before. What's the deeper why? I realized that. And it's like when I faced that burnout in January, I was like, what the hell is going on? And I realized it was because I had this mindset that I have to work so hard and I have to work harder. And now I have to work 24/7. And it's like in the beginning, yeah, you got to do a lot of shit. But at the end of the day, it's like the way you show up to your business matters.
It's the mindset of not thinking like, oh, I have to show up. It's I get to show
Yeah,
up. And it's the switch of just that alone that's like all the difference.
exactly.
Looking at your business now that you're more seasoned and you're looking at growing and things like that, what are the metrics that you focus on mainly?
Yeah, so in regards to growth, obviously, like I want to keep growing. Like that's really cool to have more followers, to have more eyeballs on my content. But at the end of the day, that's kind of something that's like out of my control. So I don't really focus on vanity metrics. I'm not like, I want this many followers. Like I never really think like that because I have a ton of followers, and like I'm so grateful for those followers. So now my goal is more to nurture that community and more so
Okay.
build more of the niched community that I'm going for, like female entrepreneurs, females who want this freedom lifestyle to build their own business, to hit 5, 10K months, to travel the world, content creation, like really female entrepreneurs is what I'm targeting more because I'm more passionate about it, and more passionate helping those kind of people because it's just like, it's just what I've done for my life. So it's easy for me to help others doing that. And I'm passionate about it. So the metrics that I focus on now is like, for example, like now my business is obviously content creation, which is important. So like I am a little bit analytic heavy on YouTube just because I am trying to grow, trying to get monetized, trying to grow my platform there. So I would say focusing on that and being a little bit more strategic with my YouTube, in regards to content. In regards to Instagram and TikTok, it's very just like, not that I don't care, but it's just very at a point where it's like, I'm grateful for where I'm at. I'm just going to keep going and see how it unfolds. And by putting numbers, I think we limit ourselves because you don't know what the universe has in store for you. And if you you're like, oh, I just want to hit this, like you're never going to get anywhere. And I remember when I hit 10K followers, I thought that was it. I was like, yes, like I did it, like that's it. And now I'm at 37,000, and I would have never ever thought that because at 10K I was like, I'm happy, like I'm grateful, like this is fucking sick, like, and I was so happy with that. And that's what got me to 37K because I was so focused
Yeah.
on those 10K that it just kept expanding. And that's like a principle
Yeah.
on abundance, right? Already seeing how much you have. So to answer the question, what I do focus on is now more the business side. So how much am I spending on ads and how many clients am I getting from those ads? How many clients are converting organically from my content? How many sales calls am I booking and how many of them are closing? For the ones that are not closing, is there something that I could have done better? Or maybe I shouldn't have accepted the survey because they actually weren't ready to take the leap. So more metrics geared towards my online course.
You have such a unique, exciting story. I love it. It just excites me. The last thing I want to ask is what advice, the biggest piece, because I know this can again range from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, but like, what would you say is just your biggest piece of advice that they don't know where to start when it comes just start to engaging and getting things out there? Like, what's your number one advice on just the journey?
The first step to getting ahead is getting started. And don't take
I love
that
that quote.
lightly.
That's an awesome closer.
Amazing. Well, Daria, thank you so much for asking me these questions. It was kind of cool to be like in the hot seat. I feel like I'm always like being the coach, like talking to people. So I love this. Sometimes like I wish I had a podcast so I could do things like this. So I do plan to do more of this on my YouTube. Thank you so much for watching that interview. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys. I'm feeling an immense amount of gratitude because I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll see you in the next video.